Is saying XD enough to do 3% of someone's prize money? Who is stronger, the GSL or Corona? And do cows moo in different dialects? All of these questions will be answered in today's episode of StarCraft Today.
StarCraft Today.
Your favorite StarCraft news show. Starting with an odd event in the Latin American qualifier for the TSL 9. After Ion left Game 2 without a GG in his series versus Special, Special typed an XD in the chat in Game 3 as he spotted the Nidus starting to build. This was followed up by a Manor Mew in Ian's Natural after the Nidus all-in got defended. Ian responded to that with a really, which Special responded to again in return. In the back and forth that follows, Special says, "Learn to GG," which Ian seemingly misunderstands as Special telling him to leave the game, while in reality it seems to refer to the lack of a good game in game number 2. Color me surprised when the next day it gets announced that Special is to receive 3 official penalty points due to breaking 3 different rules in the handbook. Now don't get me wrong, I'm a stickler for the rules, but this feels rather excessive for some minor back and forth banter between 2 players. I wonder what you all have to say about it, and whether you think Special should be punished with a 3% price reduction, or if a simple warning here would have sufficed. Moving on to some real problems, as for the second time in the history of the GSL, some games were played without all players being present in the GSL studio, with both DRG and Maru testing positive for COVID after returning home from DreamHack Valencia. This meant that Su, Zaun and Hero played from the studio, while Maru and DRG played from their cozy home. And the GSL day started with an exciting full-on base trade between Hero and Dongray Gu, in which the game got decided by the actual win conditions of StarCraft 2. Destroy every single building on the map. DRG managed to take out the final gateway of Hero before Hero could come back and try and defend. Sadly for DRG, this was not enough to win the series, as Hero came back with a vengeance and managed to take game 2 and 3 in pretty dominant fashion. The second match of the day was a little more one-sided, as Su made short work of Zaun. Taking game number 2 with an old school 3-hatch link flood, Zaun's robo-opener did not have enough firepower to stop the links from taking down the wall, and thus Su picked up a simple 2-0 victory. The third series had the stay-at-home boys fight it out as Maru took on DRG. The DreamHack Valencia runner-up got caught out of position with his Hellions in game number 1, which allowed DRG to quickly dismantle Maru's mech play, getting a quick and easy 1-0 on the board for the Zerg. In the second game, Maru once again surprised with a couple of uncharacteristically sloppy plays, losing Marines to Banes, not sniping Banes properly off creep, and in general playing a bit slower than we are used to from the top Terran. After leveraging the early game lead, DRG was allowed to set up a powerful 2-2 timing, which Maru did not have an answer for, giving DRG the 2-0 win. The fourth match of the day saw potentially the worst game of the week, as Su forgot to scout for an entire game and died at the 6-minute mark to Hero's 18 zealots that got saved up at the third. Game 2 started with an Immortal all-in that failed to kill, but did manage to take out a bunch of drones. This led into Su setting up a massive Fort Breaker attack. But sadly for Su, if you play a Fort Breaker build, you do need to break the fort base. And as that didn't happen, and Hero managed to keep some of his key units alive as well, the second wave by Su did not manage to kill either, giving Hero the 2-0 win. The final series of the day gave us this week's Game of the Week, as Maru and Zaun went at it in an exciting Terran vs Protoss on 2K atmosphere. After a dynamic early game with Phoenixes, Maru decided to pull the boys with a tank mine ghost push. He managed to take out the fort base, but did not get the fatal blow on Zaun, and thus was down about 35 workers and even in army supply. But despite these setbacks, Maru managed to come back into the game with some insane micro and great decision making, and eventually even managed to finish off Zaun when the Protoss player's final mining base got spotted and he was forced to defend it. The second game is a lot less interesting, as a mine drop deals way too much damage 5 minutes into the game. Zaun tries some aggression, but when that falls short as well, Maru decides it's time to walk across the map and win the game, and that's exactly what he does. With that 2-0 win, Maru secures himself a second place in Group A, Hero ends up in first, and DRG, the floor-sleeping Sigma male, ends in the third place, advancing on to the round of 6. As the TSL 9 qualifiers continued, I want to zoom in on one specific player here, and that is Rainer. After making it to the qualifying match of the winner bracket, he loses 3-0 versus Ratata while playing with Protoss. And to make matters worse for him, he also loses the loser bracket qualifying match versus Showtime, after being up 2-0 and playing with Zerg. Surely a difficult night for the Italian Zerg player, who now has a single regional qualifier left to try and qualify for TSL 9. If that doesn't succeed, he might need to fight with a mix of Koreans, Europeans and Americans for the final spots in the server qualifiers. Rainer not being in a major tournament would indeed be a very odd sight to behold. As every week, there also were 6 WTL matches with some interesting results. Starting with SSLT versus Kaisi, which ended in a 4-2 in favor of Kaisi Gaming, with Firefly once again winning 2 maps. Sure, he was playing against Hyperion, by far the weakest player in Kaisi Gaming, but Firefly is a player that I would recommend keeping an eye out for. He is currently ranked as the 3rd best player in China, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see him post some good results on a more international level in the next 12 months. The second match of the week was Good Game Gaming versus Psystorm Gaming, which we saw Gumio and Special both play 1-1 versus Cyan and Dream respectively, allowing MaxSpecs to deal the finishing blow to GGG by taking out Ratata 2-0. The final game was a true low eco slugfest, but the powerful Dane walked away with the win, and thus Psystorm managed to take the 3 points home. In the third match, we saw Team DPG dismantle Team GP, lots of Gs, lots of Ps in there, with Rihang being the only player taking a map for Team GP versus Hyur. Both Hero and Rogue did not lose, and thus DPG ended with a 5-1 win in their pocket, as well as the 3 points. Match number 4 saw the Platinum Heroes push the Kwangdong Freaks to the limit and forcing an ace. But despite Art's best efforts in that ace match, the Korean Zerg Armani, who was apparently playing with a broken hand, was a little too strong, and thus the Kwangdong Freaks won the clan war 4-3 and secured 2 very important points. Far and away the most important match this week was Alpha X versus Shopify Rebellion. Sadly for the Rebels, both Beyond and Harstem were incapable of playing, and Scarlet was forced to play while still being very sick. This led to a rather sad affair in which one of the most important matches of the week became a boring 6-0 sweep in favor of Alpha X. The final match of the week ended up being the postponed match between Envy and Team Liquid. We saw an unleashed DRG as the Korean Zerg managed to force the ace out of Liquid and then went on to win the ace match versus Clem on Tropical Sacrifice. Winning a clan war for your team and qualifying for the round of 6 of GSL, a pretty decent week for the Sigma male. That leads us to the following standing with only 1 round left to play, and that next round is going to be real exciting as the number 1 and number 2, DPG and Kaisi Gaming, will fight each other next week for the number 1 spot in the league. Just like every week, we had 3 ESL Open Cups this time around as well, starting on the Sunday in Korea. There we saw an impressive run out of Scarlet, who currently is staying in Korea, taking out Percival and Classic on her way to the finals. Waiting in the finals was Gumio, who managed to win it with style, taking the final game home with a powerful proxy 3-Rex all-in and winning the series against Scarlet 3-0. Over in Europe, we saw a MaxSpecs versus Clem finals, a European classic. Despite Clem's strong start in the series, getting himself a 2-1 lead, MaxSpecs managed to get back in Game 4 with a powerful Blink Stalker timing, forcing the Game 5. And in that final game, we saw MaxSpecs open up with a Blink Stalker timing, followed by a +1 Storm timing, which actually ended up killing Clem, making the score a 3-2 and giving MaxSpecs another ESL Open Cup win. The North American Cup saw a full Korean semi-finals and thus a Korean party in the finals as well, with Beyond taking on Solar. Uncharacteristic to Beyond was the fact that not a single game in the finals went longer than 15 minutes. Beyond took home the 3-1 victory in the finals with a powerful 2-bay stank push to win it all. Congratulations to this week's winner, as we will be moving on to the clip of the week. And for this week's clip of the week, I would like all of you to pay close attention to where the Reapers of the Red Terran shoot.
Command ready. Add-on complete.
Poor cleaning bot. He never had a chance. That will be it for today's episode of StarCraft Today, but not before we answer our final question. Do cows moo in dialect? This is one of these facts that gets thrown at you every now and again, and I could trace it back to a BBC article from 2006 in which Professor Wells gives a couple of interesting quotes. The quote that the headline seems to be based on is, "This phenomenon is well attested in birds. You find distinct chirping accents in the same species around the country. This could also be true of cows." Now, I tried looking for any studies or a source or any type of survey that isn't the BBC, but the best thing that I could find was a website called cowism.com, which has a couple more quotes than the BBC article, but doesn't list any type of primary source or study that this article was based on. So, do cows have dialects? Probably, but I wouldn't bet my life on it. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're really close to 100,000 subscribers and I have nothing planned for that yet. So that is very exciting. Thank you so much and bye-bye.